Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So today I wanted to follow up on a video that I did yesterday, which was responding to a comment we received from a viewer talking about the value of a cloud-hosted service you pay for versus a server. He was saying that if you have to set up your own Docker instance and set up everything yourself, that kind of thing should be free, whereas paying for a cloud service is the thing that should cost money. And I actually agree in the opposite direction. A cloud service should cost money because you are paying for somebody else's time and hardware and setup and expertise and support, but the ability to host my own server is something that's actually infinitely more valuable to me because that means that you're providing me with freedom, which is something that we believe in here at this organization. Futo does not want to offer you clients that don't allow you to have access to a server yourself. You need the ability to host your own server. We are at a point where everybody from your garage door manufacturer to your tankless water heater manufacturer decides that you can have a client that connects to somebody else's computer, but you can't choose to have it to connect to your own. I am willing to spend more money, not less, when a company gives me that level of freedom. And I think this is a great time to talk about not just what our responsibility and our role is in returning freedom to technology users, but also what your role is in this process. Because it doesn't matter how great we make this software. It doesn't matter how many tens of millions of dollars we invest in getting engineers to create great open source software that doesn't abuse people if nobody understands why they should use it. Yesterday, we were talking about Image. It's a piece of photo gallery software. You can view it from your phone. You can view it from your computer. It allows you to search through your picture library very fast, in my opinion, even faster than Google Photos and faster than iCloud. And it also allows you to do these types of searches where you can search for things like cat on chair and actually have it look through and find every photo you have of a cat on a chair. It can see all the different names of all the different people that you have in there. And this is all done locally. This machine does not ever have to connect to the internet. You can block its access to the internet, use OpenVPN or WireGuard to log in, and you can get access even if you're using a piece of crap Intel NUC i3 like I am and have 2 to 3 seconds for your search results. It's amazing. And the problem here is that most people, no matter how good we make the software, are not necessarily going to switch over until they understand the problems with the current solutions. So our role here is going to be to fund the creation of the software, make sure that it follows our principles. It must be open source, no DRM, no ads, no trackers, no spyware, must not have any sort of crypto scams in it. The software has to actually be good. These principles must be followed and must be able to have access to a server if we give you access to a client. Your role is going to be explaining to people why this is important, why this matters, because it doesn't matter how good our software is if people don't understand why they should switch and why they should use it. There's a book that was written by Peter Thiel. It's called From Zero to One. And one of the things he talks about is how what you make cannot simply be 15 or 20 or 30% better. Because A, it's not enough. But more importantly, B, even if it is, a lot of people are not going to bother switching to figure it out. It's just not worth it to them. And there needs to be that pain point that causes people to want to switch to software that doesn't abuse them. And I think that this is actually a great time for us. We could not have decided to hire these developers at a better time, given what's in the news. So if you are somebody who is somewhat technically savvy, you likely saw in the news recently that there was a bug in the most recent release of iOS where people downloaded the latest version of iOS onto their iPhone, and photos that they had deleted 1, 2, or 3 years ago were showing back up in their library, which is kind of creepy. Now, if you're watching this YouTube channel, if you're interested in this type of stuff, you're most likely that 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 people that kind of understands that when you upload something to a software as a service system or some sort of SaaS thing like this, when you hit delete, it's not the delete key that we had when I were younger. This is a delete key that, again, it looks like a delete key to you, but on this system, again, when you're talking about propagating a single image or video to 18 servers around the world, ensuring that they're all there perfectly, there's going to be problems from time to time. And when these types of problems occur, companies that are consumer-facing, on average, are going to want to err towards let's keep more data just in case something goes wrong and we accidentally delete it, versus let's make sure that it's deleted immediately and wiped completely. Losing user data, losing their photos is going to be worse than, oh, whoops, we forgot to delete it from the server. Okay, let's do a bug fix later. Because think about this. If you're your average normie consumer, what would piss you off more? Finding out that there were a couple of extra photos you thought you deleted that were still on the cloud that they fixed within a day, or the bug causing photos that were not flagged for deletion to get deleted? It's one of these things where I understand why they made the decision that they did. At the same time, I don't care. Many people in my comments are saying, Louis, you don't understand. There is a particularly good reason for it to be done. It doesn't matter if I understand. That's a controversial statement, but it's the reality. It's the truth. For the people watching this channel, you don't care why the delete key didn't work. What you care about is that your pictures, photos of you that you don't want people to see, screenshots of conversations you don't want people to see, your personal information was on somebody else's computer after you hit the delete key. Why? I'll be honest, I don't care. Most people didn't understand this. We knew this, but normal people didn't. That news article was part of why more people started to understand this as a problem. And it's important that as many people understand it as an issue as is humanly possible so that they care. When people realize that their personal photos that they hit the delete key on are on somebody else's computer, understanding that other people's computers can be hacked, whether you are me setting up a server in my closet or a $3 trillion company like Apple who's had to deal with the fappening, this is something where normal users will go, oh, you know what? This may take me 10 minutes to change, but it's worth it. When you talk about Google and a doctor that had asked somebody during COVID because they couldn't bring their child to the doctor to take a picture so that he could tell them what's going on, and the Google decided not just after some sort of computer flagged it, after manual review, to report that person to the police, with the person at Google saying, well, we saw a video of the mother bare-chested holding their child in a bed, so I guess we had to report it to the police because apparently the people at Google have never heard of breastfeeding. This is where normal people will start to understand it's a problem. This is where that starts to be really creepy. It's not even that you flagged it, it's that somebody else looked at it and then reported it to the police and had the power to ruin my life for a year using the PEXT4 file system word on me to get me in genuine trouble. Or we're talking about companies like General Motors that have decided that they are not only going to utilize the computer in your car that you have no control over to track all of your movements and track how you use the vehicle, but they're also going to share that data with insurance companies so that you can have your insurance rates hiked. We can create great software, and we will create great software. We already have created great software, and we're going to continue funding the creation of it into the future. That's our role, and our responsibility is to ensure that that software doesn't abuse you and that it is good enough and intuitive enough that you would be happy telling your grandparents, install this, it's going to work. That's our responsibility. But what we need your help with, what no amount of money in the world can do, is help change the culture. Tap your friend on the shoulder, tap your coworker on the shoulder, tell your family about these problems, because I guarantee there is somebody in your inner circle of friends that doesn't know about this, but that if they did, would care. I know lots of people that are my elders that are considerably smarter than me that agree with me on a number of these issues, and they see them as serious problems. That also had no idea if I didn't tell them that General Motors was literally collecting all of their information on how they drive, whether or not you stopped too fast or started too fast. Ironically, on electric cars that they sell, where one of the primary features that they're advertising is fast 0 to 60 and high torque, and then screwing customers over by hiking their insurance rates based on private data, all the while profiting on it. That 71-year-old friend of mine is never going to buy a GM vehicle with a computer with internet access in it ever again. But that wasn't going to happen if I didn't let him know. I want people to use this software. I think that the software is great, and I want to continue ensuring that this software is funded. At the end of the day, normal people are not going to switch. They're not going to care to switch unless there's a pain point, and that pain point is already there. It's out in the open. When Linus had his channel deleted, when somebody hacked into the Linus Tech Tips YouTube account a few years ago and deleted all of his videos, Linus reached out to YouTube and they restored all of his stuff once he got access back to his account. And one of the things that I remember him mentioning is that there were videos that he had created just to test his channel over 10 years ago that he immediately deleted. And they were restored to his account over 10 years later. Whether we're talking about Google, Apple, or anybody else, the unfortunate reality is that the web of today does not have a delete key like the web of yesterday. And unfortunately, because whether we're talking about iPhones where they don't give you a micro SD card slot, Android phones where they used to give you a micro SD card slot but now only give you a micro SD card slot so you could store all the photos you want, on the lower end phones which have the worst cameras, imagine that. We live in a world where people are being pushed more and more into cloud services, and more importantly, cloud services that don't really seem to understand the concepts of the word delete. And when you think about the fact that virtually everything is hackable given enough time, people do make mistakes, there are instances of human error, there is a genuine motivation that normal people should have towards maybe wanting a little bit more sovereignty or control over their information, over their data, over their most prized possessions and memories and photos and screenshots and everything else. But in order for them to feel that, they're going to need you to tell them why they should feel that. We can make good software, but we need you to help explain these problems to people. And to be clear, I'm okay with you explaining all these problems to your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors, your children, everybody else, and not even mentioning our software. That's fine by me. I don't need you to mention image or Fudo keyboard and voice when you're talking about this with your friends and family. Simply informing them of the problems so that they want to look for solutions is more than enough for us. We'll create those solutions, and we'll make those solutions so good that they won't be able to help other than to use our products. But there has to be a demand. We can create the supply. Right now, the supply is really, really low when it comes to software that is open source, better than the closed source solutions created by trillion-dollar companies, and doesn't abuse you. We want to create that supply. But we also need to start creating that demand a little bit, because the difference between an average consumer thinking this is 20% better than what I have now versus this is 8,000% better than what I have now is understanding the difference between a service where the delete key works and the delete key doesn't. Understanding the importance of privacy. Understanding that when somebody says something like, oh, I don't care if people are spying on me. Answering that with what's always worked for me over the past 10 years. Let me see your phone. What's the password to it? Funny, when you say something like that, people start to care about their privacy real quick. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm curious to hear what you have to say, and more importantly, I'm curious what your successes or failures have been in your everyday life as you introduce people to this type of stuff. Hey, I noticed you're using the default weather application on your phone, and it requires permissions for your contacts, data, and everything else. Have you tried this one? Because it doesn't require that. You also may notice that because this weather app is not spying on you, that it loads twice as fast. I noticed that you're using Chrome with no plugins, or if you've tried uBlock Origin. Check out how fast this website loads when I don't have to deal with ads. Getting people to understand that these very, very minor adjustments can result in a much better computing experience.